did talk to a lot of Muslims, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Now, I put out a newsletter about some of this and in general what's going on with the ministry. And it was a 10-day trip to Ohio. Yes, I got to see some family because I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio, live in Phoenix now. But lots of gospel conversations, lots of training hours. Now, I'm specifically talking about what I did. When you add it all up, it's about 9+ hours of training that I delivered. Hundreds of tracks. Now, that's with the team. So I'm clarifying which things. I did not personally do hundreds of tracks. I was with the team that did tracks. So I'm clarifying which is which on these bullet points, and it says it even right there. At least 6 people that we got sort of follow-up with that I was exactly talking to personally, including a Muslim or 2. And then about 673 miles driving. That's bare minimum. We also did some other stuff, outreach at the African Festival in Columbus. I'm going to talk more about that in a different show, the Islamic Society Greater Mosque Outreach, which I'm going to talk about today. But there was multiple teams that did this, so this is just the one team I'm talking about that I was part of. A ministry meeting with an ex-GMS Hebrew Israelite member in Columbus, a GOCC Hebrew Israelite Park outreach. I haven't even mentioned that. That was in Akron, but we'll put out a video in the next couple weeks about that. An IUIC Camp and Nation of Islam discussion. These were separate, of course, at Genoa Park in downtown Columbus. The Seek and Share Apologetics Conference at Steel Valley Church, which there's a little picture there down there. And also speaking on ministry to Muslims at the Rock Church. I spoke there. That video is uploaded on their channel. We're going to do our own version as well. And Holy Stones Research Mini Documentary, which is coming out. I did a live stream on that yesterday. Now, next up, we're trying to go to California for our Strong Tower Conference, but all this is ministry. This ministry is supported by you. And so they don't really have honorariums and travel expenses at most of these conferences. So you people are like, what's going on? It's all ministry. The ministry is all it's listener and viewer supported. So that's why there's a place to support up there, because we want to go. I'm going to be driving out to LA. We're going to be doing evangelism with local churches, multiple training things, and I need your help to get there. So you can see the GoFundMe, and you can also see this is on the next page right there. You can also see how much of our goal we've hit, and you can see some of the line items of what it covers and how it works. We also need you to share these live streams. Big up, like, comment in the chat. And we also want you to just pray, So these are important things. Now, a couple people already talking. Let's see what you guys have to say. I saw a number of interesting comments that I want to look at. Found Ernest says, I was at a mosque with Vocab. Hey, bro. Ernest. Okay. Was that your name too? Because I'm trying to think of an Ernest. We did have quite the team. I don't know if I remember an Ernest. My guess is you might have a different thing. But if you were there, you were there, and I'd love to hear what you add to this live stream. Mike B says there's actually a Salafi mosque in Columbus, Ohio. I believe it is called Masjid As-Sahaba. You should definitely evangelize their vocab. If I can get a team, I can. Are you down to be part of it? And by the way, there's more than one Salafi mosque in Columbus, Ohio. Nate, I agree with your comment. You are exactly right. I agree. Shout out, we have Leif here. He was at the mosque as well. Now, he went inside. So, when you come back in, let me know, Leif, because maybe you can jump in at the end. I can drop the link, and it'd be good to hear your comments as well. No doubt about that. That could be very, very interesting. Okay, so you're getting the lay of the land here. Please share this, because we need some more people to come in, because we got some interesting content. Speaking of interesting content, one of the things that was interesting was this guy. He was at the conference, and I don't know how I feel about this. This is a strange turn in AP's sort of thing he's doing, creating AI songs and then performing them as sort of a Rasta guy, but he's doing it with his own voice. I'm going to play a little clip of this or two, and you tell me what you think. All right, here we go. You probably didn't hear, but before he started, he says, my palms are sweaty. So that was why everyone was laughing. But I got a little bit of the clip, too, from the actual song.
The gospel is light and we're judged by what's in it, that's right. So I open it up and read what it says. Jesus died and he rose from the dead, but your book says no, he never died. So which one's true? Somebody lied. Who told you to judge by it?
So AP performed these songs that some of you have seen and heard live at the conference, which was a very unique experience indeed. And I think I've got...
If you're unsure, ask the people who knew it before. But our gospel says Jesus is Lord, crucified, risen, that's what's stored. And our scripture's older than yours, written down long before Muhammad's doors.
Valley. Pretty cool spot.
Youngstown, Ohio. Yeah, baby. Seeks your truth.
And they did have cops there. So that's where it took place at. And the church was real cool. Great people there at the church. I got to talk to some of the leadership. Then I'm going to just show one other video. This is from our Airbnb. Then I'm going to get back to the mosque stuff. I'm just showing you a little bit of other stuff too. This is brief, but yo, there was lots of deer there. Check this out.
Hey, we're in Youngstown. What I see. He's a pretty one. Wish I could see better.
Deer in Phoenix, okay. This is not something I'm used to seeing. But at our place we stayed right there in the neighborhood, they were all over. And Youngstown was like a city. So I was just surprised to see that many. So at this time, it's me and Lewis looking at him, you know, the taco guy. And Lewis shut the truck door and the thing ran off. So we didn't get to see any more deer. But they were all over. When I was driving at night for me and Lewis to get something to eat, even though I was in a city, there are so many deer all over there, man. I was worried I was going to hit one of those guys. Like, seriously, I truly was. But fortunately, I did not, so that's good news. So, Daddy Death says, I love AP, but he need to keep his day job. Okay. Prince of El Mora says he resides trying to convert us. Brazilians now in Newark. You're talking about Newark, New Jersey, right? Fascinating. Well, okay. And yes, Colossians, we do go to some mosque in Phoenix as well. Hit me up and we could talk about that and work on that. Okay. So there was AP there. It was great to see him and hang out with him a little bit. I was glad. And this is a great conference, and I am recommending it. There's Lewis, you guys know him as Truth Defenders in the live chat. He comes on, and I thought he might be here now, but we had a good time hanging out. And I met a great brother named His Humble Servant. Sometimes he's in our live chats, and he does great work, so I'm going to recommend his YouTube channel to you. He's kind of just starting out, but he's already got some great stuff. And one thing he has that's really cool is he did a review of the conference and of the mosque evangelism, and he's just a natural. I listened to the whole thing. He's a natural at relaying stuff and just did a great job of breaking it down. So if you want another perspective, and his was cool because he gave the perspective of someone being inside the mosque, and he just did a fantastic job. So shout out to His Humble Servant, and also subscribe to his boy Leif, who was in here earlier. Now, I just want to bring out this scripture right here in the beginning, which is 2 Timothy 4:3-4. Because when I get into this mosque evangelism situation, one thing you're going to see is even in a small town, a small city rather, like Youngstown, Ohio, which has dropped in population to the tune of over 100,000 people in the past generation, Islam is growing there. Ultimately, I'm going to say it's a prediction of 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 3 and 4. This is not meant to be offensive or hurt anyone's feelings. The point is that Scripture ultimately speaks to this kind of thing, I do believe. And here's what it says. For the time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but having itching ears, they will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own passions and will turn away from listening to the truth and wander off into myths. Do you hear that? This was during their day in the first century, and even more so. So Paul is exhorting this young pastor, Timothy, about how to respond when these things occur. So this is important for us to take note as well, because he's not just referring to then, although he is referring to then, he's also referring to a time in the future as well, but it's both. So Timothy faced this, we face this even more. Itching ears is such a fascinating phrase. It's this yearning for novelty and new ideas and different things and things that appease you and that you like and sound good. It results in a pursuit of false teachers and weak teachers and bad teachers and false prophets. They're all over social media, influencers. They basically tell you what you want to hear. Even when they tell you, I'm not telling you what you want to hear, they're telling you what you want to hear. Instead of orthodox teaching. See, that's what's going on. But they're ultimately driven by their own desires. People are like, why do people convert to these things? This is why. It's the lust of the flesh manifested in religion. So they readily accept fanciful myths, but not the truth. And we got to do the work of an evangelist. And so that's exactly what we are doing there. So we're going to talk about mosque evangelism in Youngstown, Ohio. All right. And that's what the town looks like. I just took a picture of one building. Why are you taking pictures of random buildings? Well, I actually wasn't trying to take a picture of the building. If you look at that green, white, and red sign, I was trying to take a picture of the fact they're having an Italian Fest coming up in August. And I was like, hey, maybe I can go back here, go to their Italian Fest in Youngstown, Ohio. I think it's unlikely. So we are at the Islamic Society of Greater Youngstown, and this thing has been around since the 80s. It started in a living room, and now it's branched out and is quite popular. Even in this picture, if you can see that there are cars all the way up to the building. And I'm going to show you the parking situation is a lot more than that. And if you're thinking, I could never do something like this, let me introduce you to Brother Phil. Brother Phil is a regular guy in a lot of ways. He was at this conference. Brother Phil graduated in 1972. Then a lot of you, if you saw Brother Phil, you might prejudge him. There's a evil Trump supporter. Not that I think that, but I'm saying that's how people be thinking a lot of times these days. But you know what? Brother Phil is going out to learn something new and to share the gospel with Muslims. And this is the first time he did it, and he did a great job. And why do I bring up that scripture on the screen? It says, be reminded, Christian, yes, you're chosen, but God chose you, and not many of you were noble or of high esteem in the world and considered strong and mighty, and yet he chose you. Why? To give himself more glory. That's what it says. So you're like, well, I'm not very eloquent, and hand out tracts. Come along. You can do it too. 1 Corinthians 1 tells you. But he wasn't the only one. We had a team. Now, the brother Eric, this brother has been around in apologetics. He has been involved with cultic research. He's a fantastic writer. He works with Ratio Christianity. So he's like a polished guy. He knows how to do this stuff. So we had a diverse team. And then my gentleman in the middle, Guan, great guy. And you know, the reason I have that scripture on the screen there is because it's John 4, and that's where Jesus is talking to the Samaritan woman. Because, see, you might see a mosque, and just like the Jews went around Samaria thinking, I'm going to go past that. But Jesus' model instructs us to go not past that, but into it and talk to those folks who might be considered undesirable by some and maybe even historic enemies in some way, and share the gospel with them as well. And that's exactly what Jesus did. And so I apply John 4 to the situation of mosque evangelism. Now, when you do mosque evangelism, you do have fallen soldiers. These are some of our fallen soldiers. These are tracks that got beat up, stomped on. You can see the footprint right there. Crumpled up, bent, thrown away, kicked, hit, ripped. But you know what I say? Better them than us. That's my line. Hey, if someone's got to take a beating by the Muslims outside the mosque, let it be our tracks. You know what I'm saying? And interestingly enough, I guess to the credit of the sheikh and some of the leadership inside the mosque, when they knew that we were out there, they said, I got reports later from 2 different sources. Hey, there's a crowd amassing out there. We think they're Christians. We don't really know what they're doing, but don't raise a fist to them. No violence. You know, this is what he said. And to the credit, they didn't. Now, this particular situation was interesting. Let me play a couple videos now. That are from the mosque itself. These are just little clips of me with my phone, but let me show you the sort of scene as it was. Just give me a second there. We're not going to be watching mosque videos here, a couple different ones. And first, let me show you, I think, some of the fallen.
Let me. Oh, you got a footprint one. Let me see that.
Yeah. No, they went out of their way to step on it.
Were those younger boys?
Yeah,
two younger boys.
12,
Were their
something
parents?
like that.
Were their parents around them?
Yeah, they were coming from the car over to us to get the things, and then we took them, and they looked at us and
Made
stomped
sure that
on
you
them.
saw
Yeah,
them.
right. Oh, yeah.
We had eye contact while they stopped in front of it.
Okay, well, these are. You know what? Sometimes in war, there are wounded.
Yeah.
These are our wounded fellow soldiers down here. Better them than us. Better them than us, though, right? Just gotta go get them afterwards.
Okay.
They held it temporarily. Too bad osmosis isn't true.
And, you know, we're out here sort of offended when this happens, but this is just part of it. Oh, okay, here we go. Found Ernest. Me and Hatun. So you were one of the people inside. Okay. We're speaking with Ali at the mosque parking lot when you came over. Okay. Yes. Understand. Is that the tall gentleman you're referring to there? Is that the tall gentleman you're referring to at the end? I think that's probably who you're referring to. It's cool that there's people here who were there. Anything you want to add since you were there, Ernest? I'd love to hear. So let me show you just a few other clips. This is from us out there. Some of these are about the traffic situation. Check this out. Notice the parking lot is completely full. We're about to street preach. They're about to get dismissed in a second here. Here's some members of my team. I got 2 people with me. There's 3 or 4 more at the women's exit entrance, and then 4 more at the the annex parking lot on the other side. And we're ready to go. We have our flyers, we have our tracts, we have our Bibles, we have water, got speakers. And I know you can't see, but they are parked all illegally everywhere. There's a cop here to help be safe with them, I guess. Okay, so the cop was there, right? And what was the cop doing? The cop was directing traffic. The cop didn't bother us, fortunately, and we didn't bother the cop. But you know a church could not do this. This is off a service road, okay? This is off a service road. This is the on-ramp to the freeway. They're parking there, bro. I saw people parking in the Gore lane. Just anywhere, wherever, and all up in the neighborhood, including places you're not supposed to park. But it's like, you know, every mosque I've been to has a parking problem, with the exceptions of a few rare mosques. Every mosque I've ever been to has a parking problem. And it's all good. There's never any issues or challenges. But forbid that we step on their parking lot, you know? Now, we're not there to give citations. So it's like, all right, you know, it is what it is. But I just want to point that out. It's a very fascinating thing. I'm going to give you another eye and angle of this. So people on the inside had texted me, hey, they're about to dismiss, so we knew when to be ready. Because basically we go out there, and essentially there's at least 10 minutes that's a flurry of activity. Now, if someone stays longer, we get to have longer time with them. But let me show you a little bit more about the parking situation here, because this is eye-opening, I think. Islamic Greater Society of Youngstown. Notice how the parking lot is completely full. Here's some members of my team. We have people over there on that exit. It's right off the freeway. People on that exit and people inside. All right, now I don't think I played this one. I'm just giving people the rundown. We're at the Youngstown Masjid. Terry, to this with people from the Seek and Share. People from the Seek and Share Apologetics Conference.
about to start. Get this on. Masjid Al-Khair. And Youngstown, Ohio. I got my microphone.
Now, why do I have a microphone? That's because... Here, I'm kind of tired of looking at my dumb face. It's just, I'll put my face over my face. Here was the deal. The plan goes like this. Got a little tiny amplification, so when they come out, we can preach to them and speak, you know? Which is what we did. But what I say is that it doesn't have to be on the microphone, and I'd love to have a personal conversation with them. That's the way we do it. So it's kind of like, hello, friends. Hold on, that's the wrong effect here. That one's like a weird effect here. Friends, we are here today. I'm not going to do any effects, forget about it. We are here today, friends, and we are here to share the gospel. I know I have a loudspeaker, and that's different for you, but why do I have that? The reason is so you all can hear me in the parking lot. We want to have a respectful dialogue. If you don't want to talk to us, we have literature for you to take about the Bible and Jesus the Messiah. I know you think you've probably heard about him from the Quran and your Imam, but I want you to read the Gospel of John. Don't trust your Imam, but you can trust the Gospel of John. If you want to talk to us, we are more than willing to have a great dialogue with you. And I'll even turn off this microphone. So it was kind of like that. It was kind of like that. Mike B says, did you go to the Mosque Al-Khair on a Friday during Jumu'ah prayer? This is why the parking lot was full. Yes, Mike B. We're right, and that's good to explain to everybody, but we know that, and that's why we do it Friday at afternoon, is because that's when most of them are there. But see, that doesn't fully explain it. That's like saying, hey, this Christian church, it's Sunday morning, and that's why the parking lot was full there. Because it's Sunday morning, so the parking lot was full. No, every Christian church parking lot is not full on Sunday morning. That's when they have the most people. Especially if you go during, say, a resurrection service or a Christmas service, Mother's Day service. But the parking lot is not always full in these churches. You go to a mosque during Ramadan or Friday afternoon prayer every time. Even in places that are not growing. In Phoenix, you could say, okay, it makes sense. A lot of people are moving here. Okay. A lot of people are not moving to Youngstown. Now, Muslims are, though. You understand? So in a place that's not growing, the mosque is growing. So this is significant. Nate says, Nate P., it's actually a good strategy because lots of videos I see Muslims seem allergic to cameras and mics. Okay, so you're right. Now, as far as the camera, the reason why I don't have video footage of the outreach is because of that very reason. If we're out there with full cameras, you know, let me, since I'm talking to you guys for a second, let me switch over to this real quick. If we are out there with full cameras in people's face and trying to talk to them, it would be just like gathering content. But how many conversations, real ones, can you have in that situation? You really can't. And so I said, look, guys, we're not going to be filming all this. We're not going to go in the mosque with the camera. We're not going to be outside filming it. We're going to have regular conversations with real people. Video that we take will be at the beginning and at the end, but it's not going to be of Muslims in the camera with their face. What do you say about this? That's not what we were there to do, because we want to have real conversations when we bring the gospel to the mosque. And so that's the way we approached it. And then I was letting them know I'd rather talk to them. So once I got someone to talk to me, I just turned off the mic. And then my other brothers were passing out tracts, and then another brother had a microphone on the other side because we covered all the exits, and we were on the sidewalk. Is Youngstown the next future Dearborn? It's not just Youngstown, though, would be my thing. It's I mean, I don't want to say it's everywhere, but it's getting close to being everywhere. It is becoming like this. Dearborn, obviously, is the most obvious example, but Detroit, a lot of places in the Midwest. I went to my own place I went to school, Columbus State, and guess what they have? They have foot washing stations there now in the bathroom. Now, when I went there was Muslim students there. It's always been a diverse city, diverse campus. They didn't have foot washing stations. They're not just foot washing. It's for ablution, to be clean before prayer. You know what I'm saying? Fascinating, right? This is how it is. Now, got some. I think I got a couple more video that I want to share.
Youngstown Masjid.
Hold on,
With people
I know I already played it. Just hold on, people.
From the Seek and Share Apologetics Conference.
Sorry.
We're about to start.
get this on. Here at the Notice how the parking lot is completely full. Here are some members of my team. We have people over there on that exit. It's right off the freeway. People on that exit and people inside. And so we did not go into the parking lot, but they also had so many cars there. They have an extra annex parking lot where people go. And so we also had people over there. One more video from the mosque I'll show. There's some of the team. We got a couple more conversations. Most of the people have left. So they're still talking to a guy there. Parking lot's empty. Notice we're still there because we were able to talk to a number of people. There's the guy that you're talking about, you talked to. And there was part of this. Yes, indeed. Okay, now, we had a good time in the sense that a lot was accomplished. I can't explain everything that happened, but when we do this kind of thing, Christians will often say, be careful. And what I want to tell people is, we hear you, but let's not pray for Christians to be careful. I think that's a problem. And I'm not trying to Jesus juke people, okay? I understand it could feel like that or seem like that. You know what I mean? But listen, we got a lot of careful Christians. What we need to pray for is to be bold. And that's why I have that verse on the screen. It's there in Ephesians. Paul, while being imprisoned, asks Christians to pray for him to be bold. You know, that's significant. So we need to pray for boldness. He says, pray for me that words be given when I open my mouth, so I proclaim the gospel as I ought. Oops, I just took myself off the screen. And so, guys, pray for Christians to be bold. That includes you. That includes us. That's what we need to pray more for, not to be careful, not to be safe. We need to pray to be bold. And, you know, no matter how many times you've done this, and I've done this a bunch of times, I'm not the world's expert, but I've done this a lot over the years, you always feel nervous. At least I do. It's just a natural human reaction. We go out there, we encourage each other, and the Lord always provides and opens up the doors. That's exactly what he did here. So here, let me put this over the gentleman there. Yeah, there we go. So I spoke at length to this gentleman, and it was fascinating. He was born in Jerusalem. He says, hey, I know a lot about Christianity, and we started talking about Christianity, and maybe he didn't know about much about Christianity as he thought, and maybe he didn't even know as much about Islam as he thought. That doesn't mean he wasn't intelligent, because he clearly was intelligent, and he had a good heart and a good head on his shoulders, and we made a lot of progress. It was beautiful to see, and he was the main guy I talked to, and I talked to him for a long time. I don't want to give all the details of all the conversation, all that, but just pray for the brother. And yes, I did get follow-up information. Found Ernest had a different situation where he talks about this, and I was there for part of this with Usama Dakdok, who's an Arabic speaker. Hatun showed him, you know, Ernest is talking about Ali, not about Tariq. Two different Qurans. He wanted to do the Muslim shuffle, and we were helping her hold his feet to the fire. He said he'd ask his Imam about it. That's basically true. I was there. Charles says, boldness is a trait that is missing in Christians nowadays in the West. Yeah, you know. Wow, I never thought foot washing stations would be in a college. It's crazy how fast everything is moving. This is in Columbus, Ohio. I went into the restroom to wash my hands, what I was talking about with the foot washing stations. And the reason is because I was with Ratio Christie, my buddy that I know in Ratio Christie, a great guy, Eric Chabot, and he was doing some campus evangelism, whiteboarding and tabling, and I went to meet with him when I was in Columbus. I didn't even mention that, did I, in my little report? I forgot all about what I'm talking about now, meaning I never mentioned, like, as far as what I did when I was in Columbus, our campus evangelism. Well, we did that too. Because that's where I saw it. And so when I went in the restroom to wash my hands, when I was with before I joined Eric in the small team we had there at Columbus State Community College, I saw this. And there were some people there because it's summer. It's a little slower. But guess what I saw? Folks were all over. And I went to the Ohio State Fair, all over. Mike B says, yes, many colleges now have wudu, ablution areas for Muslim students nowadays. Now, it's not like we're saying, oh my gosh, a foot washing station is evil. We're just pointing out the difference and the changes, and it's a sign of things. You understand? This is very important to understand, and we need to pay attention to this. Charles says, what is it with Midwest and huge Muslim populations? Don't know, but there's something going on. Nook says, get you some meta glasses. Sir, I'd love supporters to be able to do that. Let's bring it on, right? Can we do that? I would love that to be the case. Now, notice how the parking lot is empty at this point, because that's how long him and I talked there. It was absolutely empty at this point. And I think this is important. You know, when you read the Apostle Paul and his encounters, you'll see that they will go to a place, and if a synagogue will have them, they'll go again and again and again, week after week after week. They will go there. And they will also do things like talking to the night. This is in the book of Acts. This is really such a model and a pattern, and that's why one of the talks I gave is something I've done before. I did it in London, about how the book of Acts shows the synagogue witnessing, and I hold it as a parallel to the Islamic mosque witnessing, and that's exactly what the references are there. I already referenced that scripture. Now I want to talk about something that's kind of the title of the show, where I said you'll be surprised who was there. So this is sort of the conspiracy portion of the show, but it's not really conspiracy because it's real. You understand? It's what actually happened. But before I get into this, let me show you briefly part of the mosque videos that I have, just some of the aspects of our training when we were doing it here with Hatun, going through some things here.
Being in the tummy of Mary, you can ask, okay, so who was in heaven when Allah steps into his creation?
It's just water, don't worry. Now, here's the thing. Let me just tell you about one thing that Hatun did. We're doing training, and she's showing people before we go to the mosque some like ideas, as you can tell from that brief little clip, right? And she says, okay, now, let's say Muslim attacking vocab. He attacking vocab, we at the mosque witnessing. What you do when Muslim attacking vocab at the mosque? And she means like physically attacking me. She was specific. Try to separate them. Make sure vocab's okay. Someone should probably record it. Call the police. One of us should call the police. See if he needs medical attention. No! Vocab be okay. He be okay. You need to use this opportunity to show how bad Islam is. Show, look, Islam produces. This is how bad Islam is. Vocab be okay. If you die, go heaven. Okay? That's not what you do. None of those things. This is what you use opportunity. I was like, hey, Hatun, I didn't agree to that scenario. The things that people said were actually not that bad of ideas. Now, granted, it's Hatun. So this is someone who's a speaker's corner, gets stabbed right below the eye socket or whatever, and gets back up and starts preaching again with a bloody eye. So she does practice what she preached, but hey, I'll be out there. But those are actually decent ideas they had, right? Not just, look, everybody. One of the people approached me later, is like, don't worry, vocab, if something goes down, we got your back. It's okay. True story. These are true stories, by the way. Well, shout out, brother. Yeah, if you get involved with Islamic ministry, these are the kind of people you got to deal with, okay? Because I'm telling the truth. Everyone in the class knows I was telling the truth, all right? Now, I can't show the brother's face, but so you're not going to get good video here.
Son of God. So, I would say that although sin entered the world through one man, thankfully our Lord and Savior only took creation to bear the punishment that we should bear on the...
His humble servant, my man, he knows what he's talking about. I'd like to get him on the show sometime because he does really good stuff. And so that was him, and he does good work. So now let's go back and look at who's at the masjid. I've mentioned the Imam. Now I want to tell you about the Imam. First, I got to tell you about the masjid. This is from their website, okay? These are screenshots, obviously. Prior to 1989, a small Muslim community of Youngstown would meet in a tiny house on Harmon Avenue. Eventually, the congregation grew to the point that a single classroom Sunday school was also operating from the basement of this building. The dreams of having their own mosque seemed far-fetched. However, the community banded together and collected enough funds to erect the current structure, which is readily apparent from I-680, the main highway vein of Youngstown, Ohio. Now, that could very well be true, but let me tell you something. When you start looking at the paper trail for a lot of mosque construction in the United States of America, you got a lot of foreign money involved. It's not just a local community venture frequently. There are funds for this stuff. And sometimes it even goes back to oil money and Saudi Arabia. This is not a conspiracy theory. These are facts. This is true stuff. Because they had a nice building. And so, yes, this could be true. They are growing. They may have pulled together, but you wonder if that's the sole source. Because this is how it goes. ISGY stands for Islamic Society of Greater Youngstown. Over the years, our ever-growing community required a larger structure. The mosque has expanded to meet the needs of the Muslim community and has become the focal point of local Islamic activity with a busy Sunday school, weekly Jummah prayers, vibrant Ramadan activities, and full funeral services. The mosque has continued to evolve beyond its original expectations. Okay. We welcome, this is the leadership page, our Imam who holds a BS in Sharia. You understand? And an MA, that's a Master of Arts, in Mental Health, both from Egypt, in addition to multiple Islamic classes. The Sheikh offers Islamic guidance for daily issues, financial disagreements, and relationship difficulties. Remember, so he knows Sharia. So he acts sort of as an arbiter for the community as well. I'm sure there's a fee attached to this. I'm not saying that this shouldn't happen or anything like that as far as them being allowed to practice their religion. I'm just letting you know. And relationship difficulties. The Sheikh can be reached. Okay. Now, what does Mike B say here? Yes, the Saudi regime is known for funding mosques around the world. Right. Exactly. Now, why am I showing you him? So here's the Sheikh. Do you recognize it's the same guy? His name is Hatim Farid El-Wayer. So what? Look at his Facebook page. Now, I know a lot of you millennials and Gen Z are like, who cares about Facebook? Well, I understand you guys look at it as a Gen X baby boomer thing. Okay. But it's global. A lot of people don't understand Facebook's power is not just in sort of the older Americans who use it for their social media, grandma sharing pictures, right? It's global. It comes installed on a lot of developing countries' phones when they get their first phones. Facebook is still very relevant, especially Philippines, multiple countries in Africa. So when you go to his Facebook, he has 1.3 million followers. Now, this is a guy who's in Youngstown, Ohio. You understand what I'm saying? He's in Youngstown, Ohio, and he has Oh my goodness, I have been on the wrong mic the whole time. It hasn't sounded good, has it? Oh, I just now realized it. The mic should have just improved massively. I almost wish the answer was no, it didn't. But I'm sorry, I'm very frustrated. I need a producer. I'll never have just. Nate, did you notice the sound change just now? I fixed a button, and I'm just. Jopie says, is the questionnaire fake? I can't scroll down successfully and answer no. Okay, it's funny you're saying that because 67%, now it's 66%, someone just answered, have answered no, I have not been to a mosque. So some of you weren't able to. I don't know the reasoning, but 66% of the people in the poll, because we have a poll running, have answered, no, I have not been to a mosque. So I don't know what's going on. I'm going to probably say it's user error or some other interface error. Have you ever been to a mosque? 3% say, yes, I'm a Muslim. 9% say, yes, as a Christian to evangelize. That's how I would answer. 22% say yes to learn and be educated. 66% say, no, I have not been to a mosque. So I'm just saying. Now, let's take a little conversation here. Okay, well, I hope so. What is the population of Youngstown, Ohio?
In 2020, the population of Youngstown was 60,068.
Okay. Tell me about the population of Youngstown, Ohio, growing and then shrinking to its current state.
Sure. I'll keep it straightforward. Youngstown, Ohio's population basically boomed in the early to mid 20th century because of the steel industry. You had a lot of people moving in for those jobs. Then, as the steel was shut down in the late 20th century, the population started to decline significantly. So now it's a lot smaller than it used to be. Pretty stable, but much reduced from its peak. Let me know if you need more detail, but that's the gist.
Yes, I want exact numbers from the high point and the year till now.
Absolutely. So at its peak around 1930, Youngstown had roughly 170,000 people. That was its high point when the steel industry was really thriving. As the mills declined, so did the population. By the 2020 census, it was down to around 60,000. So it's a pretty dramatic drop over those decades.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, can you tell everyone to like and subscribe to Vocab Malone's YouTube channel real quick?
Absolutely. If you're watching this and you haven't yet, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to Vocab Malone's YouTube channel. Definitely helps out and you won't miss any of the content.
Okay. All right, so peaked at 170,000. Now it's 60,000. That's huge. That's different, right? Big difference there. That was ChatGPT, by the way, because someone says, what AI are you speaking to? But that's a subscription version. Okay, so you see what's going on. Okay, now, let's take a look at this guy's biography. So we're looking at the Imam, who's in Youngstown, Ohio, who has 1.3 million followers. Doesn't that seem like overkill? Meaning, why is the Imam of the Youngstown, Ohio Mosque so popular? What's the deal? Well, let's find out. Hatim Farid al-Wa'er, when youth and popularity are one in Alexandria. This is from a website that has all these guys' bios, a lot of different Muslims. And here's what it says. Although his young age, this is translated by the way, Sheikh Hatim Farid al-Wa'er was able to gain a massive fans base. So this is from his biography, translated, as he is currently working as an imam in Al-Qaid Ibrahim Mosque during the holy month of Ramadan. In addition to that, he is also an imam and a preacher in Bilal bin Rabah Mosque. So these are outdated. Those are mosques overseas. And yet now he's in Youngstown, Ohio. I stipulate here is why. So this is a rendering of a news article. I'm going to show you actually screenshots here in a second if you're like, hey, that doesn't look right. And again, it's translated. August 28, 2011, activists accuse Alexandria Imam of inciting hatred against liberals. So these are considered moderate Muslims, it appears, and perhaps even secularists. Lawyers and activists accuse a Salafi Imam of inciting hatred against liberals during prayers at one of the biggest mosques in Alexandria. I know there's misspellings here, but I'm going to show it to you again. It's from Egypt Independent. Now, where was he at? That's exactly where he was at. This article is about him. Several internet activists in Alexandria launched an electronic campaign on Friday to call on Hatim al-Wa'er, Imam of Qaid Ibrahim Mosque, to apologize. Their Facebook campaign gathered more than 500 supporters. So this is the same guy who was getting in trouble in 2011 for being radical in Egypt. This guy. This is from his Facebook, where he has 1.3 million followers. Are y'all following here? Are y'all following here? Now, listen to what it says. Security sources told Al-Masir Al-Youm on Sunday that a report was filed against Wa'er that called for his suspension from work and the appointment of a moderate Al-Azhar graduate imam instead. Now hold that thought. In the report, the activists also asked that Wa'er be summoned to a police station to pledge that he will not discuss politics during prayers. Now, if you know anything about Islam, you should know about Al-Azhar school. Let's have another conversation here, and we can learn more about it in real time. Now, it breaks up a little bit sometimes when I talk to it, so it's kind of annoying here, but let's see if he does better here. Hey. Can you tell me about Al-Azhar University in Egypt, its importance and significance?
Sure, I can dive into that. So Al-Azhar University in Egypt is basically one of the oldest and most prestigious centers of Islamic learning in the world. It was founded all the way back in the 10th century, so it has over 1,000 years of history. And it's hugely influential in the Sunni Muslim world. Basically, if you think about where a lot of Islamic scholarship and jurisprudence has come from, Al-Azhar is a major hub. It's the place where a lot of Islamic scholars are trained and where a lot of Islamic legal opinions come from. So it's got a pretty big footprint in terms of religious and cultural influence.
Would you say that it's a moderate school? How would you describe its religious conviction?
Yeah, so in terms of its religious stance, it's often described as a kind of center of moderate Sunni Islam. Basically, it's traditionally seen as an institution that promotes a more mainstream, balanced interpretation of Sunni Islam. It's not typically seen as a place that's extreme or ultra-conservative in the way some other institutions might be. Of course, it's still a major religious authority, and it's very committed to its Islamic convictions, but in the grand scheme, yeah, it's often regarded as a more moderate and balanced voice in the Islamic world.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's you guys. I appreciate your comments. Just so you know, I know what it is. Just so you know, but I like to communicate different ways. Yes, but it is well known, and they're asking for someone from there, right? You see that? I like Charles' way he calls it the Harvard of Islamic world. Okay. So what they're saying is, hey, this imam is too radical. Give us someone from Al-Azhar. But look at the sheikh's bio. So on the left side is the screenshot from the Egypt Independent newspaper that describes this action against him for extremism during his prayers. Oh, Islam. And then on the right side is his bio. And look what it says. In order to complete his university studies, Sheikh Hatim moved to Cairo, where he joined Al-Tarbiyah faculty that is affiliated to Al-Azhar University. My point is, he's kind of already from there. And now they're asking for some moderate to replace him. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes when you hear about a Muslim guy getting in trouble for something and they replace him, it may not mean much, people. In parallel with the studies, he was working in one of the mosques there, and after his graduation, Sheikh Hatim Farid Awar joined the city of Alexandria in order to finish his studies before completely devoting himself to the imamate and advocacy. Now, if he's got all this going on, and guess what? He's got books on Amazon of him reading the Quran. Other bios say he's known for his sweet voice as he recites the Quran. Why is an imam with 1.3 million followers in charge of a mosque in little Youngstown, Ohio, which barely has 60,000 people in it nowadays? Yes, the mosque is popping, but this guy's an expert on Sharia. He's an expert on Hadith, and he was a prof. It looks like he got in trouble. In their report, the activists also asked that Wair be summoned to a police station. Now, I'm not saying this is cool, but Egypt goes up and down, and during this time, they were doing this, to pledge that he will not discuss politics during prayers. Here's the point. This guy that you see on your screen, he was so radical, they wouldn't have him in Egypt, so they sent him to America. You understand? He got in trouble for inciting hatred and violence under Egyptian standards. Islamic country these days. It used to be Christian. That's another subject. Now he is giving fiqh classes in the United States of America. Where should we send our radicals? I think we should send them over to America. 2 super chatters, Jabi, thank you. Appreciate you very much for supporting this ministry. And Leif as well. Our Imam friend did the shake shuffle. Doc did his thing inside. By the way, I dropped my email in your comment from earlier today. Hey, are you down to come on, Leif? I'd love to have you. You were there. It'd be great to have you. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link. This is for Leif only. Leif, you are very invited to jump on and talk about your perspective if you're down. I see your first YouTube video. Good work, man. Thank you. So, this is important. Meanwhile, Wair deleted from the recordings on his website the part of his prayers that attack liberals and secularists. Now, full disclosure, I put his picture over the article. The article doesn't have his picture, it just has his name and description. That part of the article has an ad, so I just put his picture on it. Understand what I'm saying? In a screenshot. Liberals and secularists disagree with Islamists regarding government plans to issue a new constitutional declaration. The declaration will determine the criteria for choosing members of the panel, which will be tasked with writing Egypt's new constitution. Panel members will be elected from the parliament. Many liberals and secularists fear that Islamists could control the new parliament and therefore the panel which will draft the constitution. So where is he now? He is with us. And Leif talked to him inside the mosque. Now, this is towards the end when we were there having the conversation. And this is part of what the AI picture that I put up is based off of. But with all that kind of bad news, let me give you some good news here and tell you something from Luke chapter 10. Yes, that's my point, Mike B. How did he go from Alexandria and having 1.3 million followers on Facebook to teaching classes in small Youngstown, Ohio? It looks like he was too radical, got kicked out, and now here he is. Isn't that fascinating? You see? Yep, very fascinating. So, I noticed that and thought that was important to point out and thought you guys might find that very interesting. Who is at this mosque? Now, what does Jesus say in Luke chapter 10, though? Let me show you something here. This is a great passage. It's going to sound familiar to you guys. This is after he sends out the 72 here, actually. What he says in verse 2, all right? He said to them, this is the 70 he's sending out, is what he tells them. Harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. Jesus is saying the harvest is not the problem, the laborers are the problem. So we need you guys to be down with this stuff. Support ministries who do this, okay? Jesus says, go your way. Behold, I am sending you out as lambs in the midst of wolves. What kind of instruction is that? It's like, it's dangerous. Jesus is like, yeah, I know. But we don't have protection. Yeah, you're lambs. You follow the shepherd. You're like lambs, and you're going out into the wolves. And that's what I'm doing. I'm sending you out there. Think about Jesus saying that to us. Lambs in the midst of wolves. I think you can figure out the relationship on the food chain to those two beasts pretty quickly. And yet, which side of the ledger does Jesus put us on as Christians? Carry no money bag. He answers every question, but we might not be able to do it. Don't worry about it. Carry no money bag. No knapsack. But what about my stuff? No knapsack. No sandals. What? What if my transportation gets busted up? Do you understand what I'm saying? Car, ride, transportation. Greet no one on the road. What's that mean? Be mean? No, it's saying you're on mission. You're not there to play games and talk. Now, that's a powerful passage that I think is important to point out. But you know what's interesting? I want to show you more about this picture in a second here. I'm going to show you real quick here. Nate says it makes no sense. They do all this vetting at Vocab, does some research, and well, what do you know? Yeah, exactly. Ham Sunshine says, my twisted mind was thinking it was because he had inappropriate relationship with the child, but then I remembered Aisha. Yeah, yeah. Check this out. I'll show you something here in this picture. What do we got here? We got a Turkish ex-Muslim. Who's that? Hatun. We got a man, Ali, here, who's from the Bronx, talking to the team. And then we have that car, a young woman who pulled up late, thought we were Muslims, I think because of our beards. My team, we all had beards on my team, all four of us actually, in my part of the team. Maybe they have it on purpose. Says, hey, what time is, did I miss it? You just did miss it, but listen, we're Christians and we'd like you to take this literature. She takes it, starts having a conversation. Now, I noticed something about the gal in the car real quick. I noticed she had a hoodie on with like a thing underneath, like to cover up. What's my point? She didn't have proper Islamic headgear, so she's trying to be sort of modest in her own way, but she doesn't have the stuff, hijab and all that. And that was kind of interesting to me. So it lets me know she's not 100% serious. She didn't know what time it started. Born in Virginia, based in Texas, they're visiting, and guess what? She called herself proudly a revert from Lebanon. What's that mean? Used to be a Christian. So pray for that sister too. She took our literature and had a good conversation with us. And this is just a sample. Now, I've shared with you talking about the gospel at the mosque, but it was a long, hot day, and here's how I looked afterwards. That was me after sharing the gospel at the mosque, bro. I was out of it, bro. And that's why when everyone else went to go do the debriefing, I went to go get some rest and get some snacks. Now, listen, I'm about to bring Leif on, who was there as well. Perfect timing, by the way, brother. But listen, I got to make pleas for support. If you don't think that's cool, whatever, look, you see what I'm doing, what I'm involved with. I'm trying to get out here. They do not pay your way for these things. Sometimes they do, but I'm telling you in this one, they don't. I'm already scheduled to be there. There's challenges getting out there. I'd like to see some of you there, but I'd also like some help. I got to GoFundMe. Drop the link, somebody. I haven't even dropped it. I'm dumb. But help it. Help me. Yeah, Ernest. Hold on. Since you're saying that's you in the blue shirt, so that means you're okay to be shown. Okay, that's cool. Ernest right there. And yes, Ernest, I do remember you, and we did talk, and shout out to you, brother. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. So we had a number of people. Let me give a little love to those who did come out. Ernest, you get the applause. Hey, you guys down to have Leif on? Leif has actually jumped in the live stream before. You know what I'm saying? He's as far as being in the comment section, but we never had him on. I got to meet the brother. Real cool dude. I'd like to have him back on and talk about some other Islam stuff. He's just now starting his channel. But give me a second because I'm going to have to bring him up. It's going to take just a second. I tried to have this set up here, but it'll just take a little bit of doing here. And then we'll bring on Leif and see how he sounds and all of that. You are here live on Street Apologists. Welcome to the program. How you doing, my brother?
Good. How are you doing?
Dope. Tell people about your YouTube channel that you just started. Just dropped your first hot video on atheism. Tell us about it, bro.
Yeah, so my name's Leif. Channel Leif of Divine Eternal. Yeah, like Vocab said, just made my first video. Long overdue on atheism. Why it crumbles in on itself from a philosophical, a scientific, and a moral standpoint. Yeah, so I admittedly, I don't really like talking about atheism. I find their arguments to be pretty bad because they ask for evidence.
They're boring.
And when you provide evidence, then they, throw it out the window. So it's kind of hard to talk with people who reject the very thing that they demand to see.
Atheists can tend to be a little boring and predictable, huh?
Yeah.
Now, I want to hear about your time inside the mosque. So we were on the outside, but you were on the inside. So let's catch the audience up on some of the things I missed when I was talking about the outside. Tell us about your team, how you got there, who you talked to first. How did it start off inside the mosque, my brother? Let's hear.
Yeah, so it was myself, Brother HHS, Usama, and then I don't know if he wants his name online, so I'll just say Brother T.
That's fine.
Went inside. Yeah, I mean, it was they're pretty welcoming at first. Like, hey, yeah, it's take your shoes off. It's fine if you're just chilling in the back to observe. That's what we did. Talked to a couple of the people we sat next to. Obviously, is when people were walking in, they're giving us a weird look, like, who are these people? Who are these people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the service, or whatever you want to call it. Listen, I've sat through some pretty tedious church sermons, but this was, bar none, the worst one. Let me tell you.
Why is that? Why do you say that, though?
There wasn't really a message.
No.
I mean, there was, he recited part of Surah 7, where there was a story about the Jews who fished on the Sabbath when they weren't supposed to, and then they got punished for it.
Always the Jews. Always got to talk about the Jews, bro.
Exactly.
Okay.
The moral of the story was, don't do what you're not supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Like, that was it.
Just some good old-fashioned moralism.
Yeah, exactly. And you will, Allah will hit that smite button if you do.
Nate P
if you
says
don't do
the
what he
worst
says.
service ever.
Yep.
You thought so?
But so they do that. They do their prayer. Took a while, but once they were done and dismissed everybody, this guy in scrubs went up to the front and he's like, "Hey, everyone, I got an announcement. So there's a group of people here. We don't know why they're here. Only Allah knows. We don't know if they're here to cause problems. We don't know what they want. But do not engage them." He said that like 3 or 4 times. Do not discuss anything with them. Ignore them. Go home. Do not engage. And then he dropped this gem. He says, "Do not talk to them. We will convert them before they convert us. Do not talk to them." And in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, you can't make this up. I don't know. That will always stick with me. Don't talk to them, but just so you know, we'll convert them before they convert us.
Yes.
Don't talk to them, guys.
As brother, his faithful servant pointed out in his live stream review, he's like, "How do you convert somebody with silence?"
Yeah. Yeah.
We will
exactly.
defeat you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So eventually, once most of the people left, we were talking to one of the elders who I happened to sit next to, and then he was like, "Okay, let me get the Imam. The Imam was okay to talk to us. And keep in mind, we didn't know who this guy was. To us, he's just he's just the local Imam of this masjid. As Vocab covered, well, might be someone else. Might be a little more importance than one might think.
You didn't know he had 1.3 million Facebook followers at the time.
No, not at all.
You didn't know that he caused a stir in Egypt back in 2011, huh?
Nope.
Yeah.
Did not. Now he's in a hut. But here's another interesting thing. So before we even went in, Hatun, God bless her, I mean, zero fear. That woman goes in by herself to kind of scope the area out, see where the Imam's office is, see where we're going to be sitting, that kind of stuff. And and apparently, keep in mind, she was wearing a sticker with the Charlie Hebdo Muhammad, and it said, I forget which sticker it was. Maybe Ernest knows. It was like, "Oh wait, I can't read."
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
It's my lines, but not my face. But it's as everyone knows, I can't read. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So she was wearing that in there because they made stickers at the conference, and I was like, "Hey, that's not my likeness," but okay.
So she goes in, allegedly. She goes in and talks to the guy. Perfect English, fluent English. Well, pretty quickly she realizes who it was. Like, Hatun knows, who this is. And she says, "Aren't you the guy that, in Egypt back, you got kicked out for such and such?" All of a sudden, no English, Arabic. So he switches to just Arabic, and then...
okay. So I listened to his humble servant's review. I didn't know she said that. So what's funny is I had told her and showed her that right before we went in, because I was like, "Hey, look what I found sort of on our break time in between training. Look what I've been researching." That's funny. So she brought that up to him. She
brought it up, and he was speaking perfect English, and then switched up on saying like, "Oh, I prefer to speak in Arabic." Like, "Oh, it's." So
but that was that was the catalyst, her saying that.
From what I heard, yes.
Wow, So I didn't know that part. That's fascinating, because that also means because I don't think Hatun knew that before I told her, and so now she's like, but then again, she might have, because she's the one who picked which masjids we go to. Okay, fascinating. Okay, go ahead. I'm listening. This is fascinating.
So why I bring that up is because during I don't even want to call it a sermon. During his recitation, he would all in Arabic, and then give the translation in English, because I'm willing to bet that most of the folks in there can't speak a lick of Arabic.
Yeah.
But his English was notably slower. than what someone who can speak fluent English in. At least that was my
I
observation.
heard he
So,
did a
looking
seven
back,
to
it's like-
did he do a 7 to 10 minute soliloquy?
So that's coming up when talking with Usama. Yeah. So it's just funny that he gets recognized and then has to put up a whole act on how his English isn't great during the service or whatever, because we're there to set up. When he actually comes to talk with us, he's like, Arabic only, no English. So then he and Usama are going back and forth, and they go back and forth for 6 minutes or so, just in Arabic. So Brother T, myself, HHS, we're just sitting there kind of like, all right.
And the
Right, this is
the
cool.
Sicilian guy was in there too, right?
Sicilian.
She looks very Sicilian. I thought because she was with Hatun later on. Anyways, go ahead.
They weren't with us. They were with the women.
Right.
So I don't know what was
Behind
going
the
on
shower
with them.
curtain.
Okay. So after a little bit, Usama's like, okay, let me translate because, I want my brothers to be a part of the conversation. So he's
Right.
translating for us. Usama doesn't even get a sentence and a half in. And one of the Muslims, who isn't the Imam, cuts him off and is like, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. Like, you're lying. You're lying. That's not what he said. So Usama's like, okay, so what did I say? Or what did he say? And keep in mind, Usama had already given us, a sentence and a half in English, and this Muslim goes, and then essentially just repeats what Usama said. It's like, so they wanted to control who was speaking and who was translating, even though Usama was doing a perfectly fine job.
It is comedic. I mean, it's sad because of the darkness and deception, but just hearing his humble servant's version and now hearing your version, it's also very comedic, right? Come on, man. So just so you know, guys, we're talking about the same mosque. If you've been with us the whole show, I talked about mosque evangelism in Youngstown, Ohio. And I was on the outside, though. So my job was to break us up into separate teams in all the entrances and then prep each team that was at each entrance in each place based upon their positioning. And so that's what I did. And then my other job is once they come out was to be on the microphone and guide my team because the other people were guiding their teams and be able to preach into the parking lot. But I wasn't inside. That was a different team. And so that's what's happening. By the way, there's a Muslim or perhaps Gilberto is asking, what are you doing at a mosque? What if Muslims came to your church with the Quran? We'll answer that in a little bit, but I'll just say real quick, whenever Muslims pull that, I always give them my church address. Call their bluff. I say, come on, I'd love Christians to learn how to deal with you. I'd love to see you at church, even if it's after. So that'd be great. I would love if they came to our church with the Quran. That's the qualification, though, Gilberto, because if you study what happens in Egypt and Nigeria, and Egypt and Iraq, they usually come to church with something else besides the Quran. So I would love it if they came to our church with the Quran. You understand what I'm saying? I would absolutely love it, and it'd be a great chance for our people to learn. And so we are okay to be on the outside and the sidewalk engaging and inside doing what we do, and we're not hurting nobody. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Side note, I don't know how many dozens of Muslims I've talked to just on the street or at a place or whatnot. I'm always the one with the Quran on me, which is weird. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
That's
Same thing on the outside. Even though the guy was pretty knowledgeable, when I so I wasn't going to get into like anti-Quranic polemics with the guy on the outside. But during the discussion, when I brought up some New Testament stuff, he wanted to talk about how the Quran was so great. And he says, well, look, we all know it's a scientific book. And I said, but is it though? He's like, what do you mean? I said, do you believe that the sun sets in a pool of muddy water? He's like, the son of God? What do you mean the sun? And so he wasn't familiar with the verse, even though lifelong Muslim. And I brought it up on my phone, and I did it in Arabic. He speaks perfect Arabic, so he was translating himself. The English was there too, but he was translating himself to make sure that's what it said, which it did. And he was like, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to look more. That's interesting. Maybe And then I brought up another one about what is produced between the backbone and the ribs as well. And he tried to have kind of an answer for that one, but he said, "Hey, it looks like you know your stuff. I wasn't familiar with these. I'm going to look into these." So he was a good. I enjoyed talking to him, but he didn't have his Quran on him. Is my point. So you're right. So you had your Quran, but they didn't have theirs. Okay.
Yeah. So they kind of so back to inside the mosque. They're kind of fighting over who gets to translate what Usama is saying and what the Imam is saying. They're kind of they're wanting to control the conversation, and eventually, or Usama started speaking in English, and then the Imam says like 2 sentences in English, not even, and then is like, "Nah, Arabic." So okay, back to Arabic. Well, anyways, they start. So it was in Surah 7 where, like I said, it was the evil Jews who fished on the Sabbath, and that wasn't what they were supposed to do. So Allah punished them, and the lesson is don't be like the Jews. Don't go rebel against Allah's commands. That was the message. So Usama was saying that, in that story, Allah takes away all of the fish for the whole week and then brings them back on the Sabbath and then expects the Jews to not. So he's saying he's asking about that. He was pretty direct. He called Allah Satan, so maybe that's why they got all riled up.
Usama, he's like that. He's a fascinating guy.
They were trying to say, no, you're not getting it. This is a story for life applications. And because, the story gives 3 types of people and their responses to the tests of Allah. And then, meanwhile, the whole time, HHS had the Bridges critical Quran.
Right. Fascinating.
And he's reading through it. And, afterwards, he was like, yo, it, literally wasn't in there. The 3 separate groups of people, that's not in there. They literally just made that up. They're lying. Well, anyways, they're trying to talk over Usama. The guy who made that one announcement about, we're going to convert them before they convert us. At one point, he's like, this guy's making no sense. Honestly, he's a waste of time. Why are we even here? That guy was just a hater. I mean, Usama knew Arabic better than all of them. That was the funny thing. And the Muslim who was wanting to translate what both Usama... He was wanting to translate what Usama was saying as well. It's like, I think Usama can translate himself if he wants to. So round and round we go. Eventually, I'm not remembering all the details. I just remember Usama and the Imam kind of going back and forth. Then they pull this card. So why are you even here? You come to us. You're being listen, you are here to learn from us. That's why we're here. Or that's why you're here. We're like, no, we're here to talk. Because what they wanted to do was just answer questions. Do you have a question about the Quran? We'll answer. But as soon as we started being critical in any way, shape, or form, then it was, you're not being real respectful. You come to our place and what? What are you talking about? Well, anyways, they keep cutting Usama off. And the whole time, dude's just cooking him. He's just barbecue chicken alert. And eventually, the Imam goes, and the guy's translating for him, of course, because, he can't speak great English, so it has to be in Arabic. He goes, let me finish my point, and then you have all the time. Let me finish my point, you'll have all the time. So Usama goes, okay, fine. This Imam proceeds to go on a 7 to 10 minute monologue. And the whole time, I'm sitting right next to Usama. If you've ever seen Usama talk or been around him, high energy. High energy, right? Yeah. And they warned him, one more word, you're out of here. So he's on his best behavior. And so he starts tapping his leg. He's getting real impatient. Eventually, the Imam wraps up. And I'm not even joking. Half of the time, he wasn't even addressing what Usama was talking about. Mm-hmm. He was saying more things like, you're coming here to learn. I've studied for over 35 years. I am that blah, 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 blah. Nothing to do with what the conversation was actually about. Just a lot about, you don't know what you're talking about. You might know Arabic, but that doesn't mean you know the Quran. Like, that was said a couple times. And eventually, he finishes his 7-minute monologue. And then now he's giving the floor to Usama. You know what this guy does? He stands up, thanks us for our time, and says that the women have a question that he needs to go answer. And and he left.
Of course.
Oh man! So then it kind of broke up into everyone talking to one of the remaining Muslims, and conversations broke out from there, which ended up being a lot better, especially once we got outside. I was talking with this one guy, and then eventually HHS joined up after he was done with talking with another person. But the guy who was getting all feisty about translating, one of the Imam's buddies, then he and Usama keep going back and forth. And several times this guy goes to Usama, hey, clearly you know more Arabic than me, but you don't know the Quran. Because Usama would like pin him in a corner on something, and then the guy wouldn't have an answer. So then he would say, well, you clearly know more Arabic than I do, but you don't know the Quran. And that was his way out of every single argument. Well, eventually, he goes, I gotta go. And he's shaking and right before that, he goes, or Usama said, another thing that your Imam said, and that the Quran says, is that this story of the evil Jews, fishing on the Sabbath, says it's in our scriptures, but it's not. And this guy goes, this Muslim, he goes, okay, let's say that the Quran does say it's in your scriptures, and you look in your Bible and it's not there. So what? What's the big deal? It's what? What's the big deal? So then something else was said, and then a bunch of Arabic being, said. Well, eventually, then the guy just kind of quits. He's like, you know what? I gotta go. I'm out of here. This is ridiculous. So he's shaking everyone's hand. And then what I find to be a really good tactic is when someone shakes your hand and you want to keep talking to them, just don't let go. Just don't let go. Just keep shaking their hand. So I shake his hand. I'm like, I got an answer for you. He's like, what's that? Well, you said, what's the big deal if the Quran says it's in our scriptures, and what if the story is in our scriptures? What's the big deal? I got an answer. He goes, okay, what's the answer? I go, well, if you believe the Quran is the eternal word of Allah. He's like, well, yeah, obviously. I go, if it says it's in our scriptures, but I look in our scriptures, it's not there, that's a huge problem. Allah got something wrong. How can I trust what else he has to say? And then, I got to go. Here's my number if you want it. He left. And then the good conversation started being had, at least on the inside of the mosque. But there was some crazy things said in that room. And then before he left, he goes, "This is how I know." He tried to bring up the differences in between all the English translations of the Bible. He's like, "Well, what Bible am I supposed to read? ESV, NIV, KJV? Which one? There's so many to choose. How do I know which one's right?" And I go, "You realize we have the original manuscripts, the original language, and that's how we translate?" He goes, "This is how I know you don't even know your own Bible. You don't even know what..." He goes, "You don't even know what language the Old Testament was written in." And at the same time, all four Christians go, "Hebrew." And he said, "Now I know you're ignorant of your own scriptures. It was written in Aramaic." And then the buddy goes off. He leaves. Anyways, so like I said, I had a really, really great conversation with this one Muslim who was there sitting for the whole thing, and then HHS joined up as well. This is one of the more honest Muslims I've ever spoken with, and he goes like, or we asked him like, what about your buddy, who said about Old Testament was written in Aramaic? He's like, yeah, he doesn't know anything. Obvious, it's Hebrew, but that's obvious. But, oh man. And then a really great and long. Hatun wasn't too happy for me prolonging that conversation because she wanted to go, but.
Well, I'm glad you did, though.
That was the time in the mosque. Oh man.
So what would you say you learned or walked away with?
If you hold their feet to the fire long enough, they'll either finally understand what you're saying, or they'll continue to not get it and then just quit and walk away. So don't. Oftentimes what will happen is Muslims will shotgun points at you. They'll say, boom, 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 boom. Bible's corrupted. Council of Nicaea. Trinity isn't there. Verses were added to the Bible. Like 4 things. And then they'll want to talk about point number 5. Like, hold on. You listed a bunch of things. You know, we'll address each one. Because otherwise you're going to think that you listed all these unsubstantiated claims and you think that you got the best out of the two of us in the argument, which the point isn't even to win the argument. It's to lead them to the gospel, and, you know, depending on their response, hopefully they respond in a good way to it. But that's the point of these conversations. So when you show that, hey, the claim you just made has no weight whatsoever, if they're being honest, they might start to question, okay, well, where did I hear that? My Imam. Well, I also heard numbers 2 through 5 from my Imam. If point number 1 was baseless, what are the odds that 2 through 5 are the same? So a big thing you got to do is, if a point is brought up, especially if they're the one to raise it, stay on topic until you conclude that line of conversation before moving on, because otherwise you can get lost in the sauce.
That's good, man. That's good, and I'm glad that you came to the conference, that we got to meet, that we went to the mosque together, and, you know, you were with the team inside. I was on the team outside. I think it's all beautiful, and I'm glad, and it's great to have you come on tonight, talk a little bit about it. Guys, you got any questions for Leif of Vine and Turtle? And I say, go ahead and subscribe to his channel. It's spelled just like it is on the screen here. He's just now getting started up as far as this goes, but he knows a lot, and he's putting in that work, so it was pretty cool. Did you listen yet to HHS's review of everything?
Yeah. I was. When was that? I was in the chat, was I?
I think you were at least part of it, I heard. Yeah, he did. I thought he did a great job breaking everything down. He did a great job.
Yeah. Oh, and then, by the way, my email is myhandle@gmail.com.
Okay, good. Yeah. We can figure out when to do this Q&A I'm working on. The Scripture Plug Albert, thank you for the super chat, says, love what you do, Brother Vocab. God bless both of you and your ministries. Thank you very much, my friend. Hold on, I got to hit him with the air horn. Albert. Go ahead, brother.
Shout out Albert. I think you should. He does really good stuff on attacking Unitarians and debunking all their horrible claims. So I think if you ever want to do a stream on attacking whatever group of Unitarians it is, whether it's Oneness Pentecostals or Jesus isn't God or modalists or whatever it is, Albert's your guy. I think.
We'll just call it attacking Unitarians.
Yeah, there we go. But it's such an umbrella, title. There's so many differing views within that heresy.
No doubt. Well, listen, y'all, I think you guys did great. Oops, I hit the button too soon. Don't worry, we are about to click off. But I think I showed you enough to give you a good idea. And thanks again for coming on, brother. Now we're going to take off, and everyone have a beautiful night. And I'll see y'all soon when we're going to do a Q&A. An open Q&A on Islam, because I'm mainly going to be answering questions that I've been asked recently, because I gave a talk on some of this. I'm ending the poll, by the way. And what happens is I didn't get to do all the answers, so I told the audience there, this is in Columbus, I said, hey, I'll do a live stream on the rest of these questions. So there are specific ones, and there are quite a few, and we're going to try to get these questions answered that people had about Islam. And I think it'll be a good time, and maybe you guys can join. So with that, God bless. Peace out.
Too many signs, I can't read them. Wouldn't recognize the turn even if I seen it. Been driving all along, feel like I'm